You always try to advance through your own hard work. But there are people who quickly rise to the top with just a couple of compliments. Sometimes they advance not by skills and work quality, but by skillfully balancing criticism and praise that benefit their leader. They know when and how to speak, what to say, and to whom. Sometimes they gain attention by reinforcing the leader's ideas, and at other times they make careful critiques. These people adapt their behavior to the environment and skillfully use social connections. This raises the question, is sycophancy a skill or a careful tactic? Are sycophants truly more skilled, or do they simply excel at manipulation? Or should it be seen as just a way of self-preservation and making the most of opportunities? To find the answers to these questions, watch the video till the end and get to know the phenomenon of sycophancy closely. Let's first look at what sycophancy is. Sycophancy is the excessive praise and agreement made by a person to please someone, get closer to them, and obtain certain benefits. Psychologically, sycophancy is closely linked to a person's social needs, fears, and self-preservation instincts. Humans are social beings, and being accepted and approved by society is one of their primary needs. Sycophancy is sometimes an easy method used to meet this need. People behave according to the desires of their leaders or influential figures to build a good relationship and try to gain attention through praise and agreement. Sycophancy can sometimes arise from fear and anxiety. Individuals who want to maintain their position at work or in social relationships may resort to sycophancy to strengthen their ties with leaders or influential people. This is a form of the escape from danger instinct. Moreover, sycophancy can also be considered a type of manipulative behavior. People may use sycophancy to achieve certain goals, gain an advantage, or influence decision-making processes. The aim here is to subtly influence the decisions and behaviors of the other party. Research shows that some people are inclined to sycophancy because they lack self-confidence. When they feel their worth is not recognized, they prefer sycophantic behavior to gain acceptance and the favor of others. This is sometimes a behavior aimed at masking their internal sense of worthlessness. In some societies, sycophancy is more accepted and becomes a social norm. In environments where strict obedience to leaders, compliance and praise are considered important, sycophancy is more widespread. This is shaped by social pressure and the influence of the environment. The conclusion we can draw from this is that sycophancy is psychologically rooted in various factors. The need for social acceptance, fear, the desire for manipulation, and lack of self-confidence are some of the main reasons behind this behavior. Understanding the motives behind sycophancy helps us evaluate this behavior properly and form healthier approaches in social relationships. So how does sycophancy develop in people? Sycophancy is a behavior that stems from human needs, the need for recognition, acceptance, and to maintain their position within their circle drives people to engage in sycophantic behavior over time. Especially in the work environment, people sometimes hide their own opinions and advance through sycophancy to gain the attention of leaders. This behavior emerges as a mixture of self-preservation, instinct, and the desire to gain social influence. Now, I will talk about the skills of sycophantic people. Sycophantic people sometimes appear more skilled than others. This skill often stems from their manipulative abilities, and it manifests in the following traits. Sycophants are highly skilled in empathy and understanding human psychology. They quickly sense the needs, desires, and weak points of the people around them. This ability allows them to be more successful in social relationships and to push forward their own interests. For example, a sycophant who senses that a leader enjoys having their achievements and successes recognized will constantly try to highlight those successes. By recalling the leader's past achievements in every meeting or social event, they try to gain attention with phrases like, "Without your leadership, this result wouldn't have been possible." This creates positive feelings in the leader and fosters a more favorable attitude toward the sycophant. Sycophants not only capitalize on successes, but also observe the sensitive topics for the leader and use them. For instance, if a leader is sensitive about their reputation and public image, the sycophant often emphasizes their professionalism and vast experience to gain their trust. By saying things like, "Your knowledge and experience have brought this company to the top," they strengthen the leader's self-confidence and solidify their own position. Furthermore, sycophants use their observation skills to sense the emotional state of the leader. If the leader is anxious, the sycophant will find words to calm them and bring up topics that lift their mood. For example, by saying, "You will overcome this difficult situation successfully because you always make the right decisions," they reinforce their position in the leader's eyes. In conclusion, empathy and understanding human psychology allows sycophantic people to build their strategies more successfully. Through these skills, they manipulate relationships and skillfully exploit the needs of the other party, directing the flow of information. Sycophants are experts at manipulating information. They filter the information that will be presented to the leader in advance and present it in a way that aligns with their own interests. This manipulation can take various forms. Concealing important information. If there are problems or delays in a project, the sycophant may hide this information from the leader. As a result, the leader only sees the positive aspects and is satisfied with the person's performance. Exaggerating successes. They try to attract the leader's attention by presenting their contributions as larger and more significant than they actually are. For example, they present a team achievement as solely the result of their own initiative, downplaying the successes of competitors to overshadow the significant contributions of other colleagues. Sycophants may downplay their role or highlight their mistakes. This helps the sycophants strengthen their own position. Changing the context of information. By altering the context of the information presented, they influence the leader's decision-making process. For example, they may minimize the risks of a decision or exaggerate its potential benefits, steering the leader in their desired direction. Through these methods, sycophants gain the leader's trust and ultimately gain the opportunity to influence more important decisions. This, in turn, earns them a stronger position and influence within the organization. Self-presentation skills. Sycophants are highly skilled at presenting themselves and capturing the leader's attention. They try to stand out by exaggerating their achievements and highlighting their important roles. This process is carried out not only through words but also through behavior, gestures, and body language. Sycophants try to present the results of teamwork as their own personal successes. For example, while everyone contributed to the success of a project, the sycophant presents their role as more significant when making the presentation to the leader. During such a presentation, they may use phrases like, "I took the lead responsibility in this project," or "I achieved this result thanks to my strategy." If any difficulty is overcome, the sycophant presents it as the result of their own professionalism. Even the smallest positive detail is presented as a major and impactful outcome. They emphasize that overcoming the challenges was only possible due to their skills. In addition to words, they also try to present themselves as valuable through behavior and body language. For example, to appear more confident in front of the leader, they use gestures like standing up straight, smiling frequently, and nodding affirmatively to capture attention. They try to instill the thought in the leader's mind, "This wouldn't be possible without me." To do this, they frequently emphasize their knowledge and skills, showing that they are unique and irreplaceable. For example, they might say, "Without my experience in this matter, we wouldn't have been able to achieve this success." In meetings or discussions, they seize every opportunity to speak up and put forward their ideas, trying to amplify the impact of those ideas. By overshadowing the opinions of other colleagues, they aim to draw the leader's attention to themselves. With these strategies, sycophants appear more valuable and important in the eyes of the leader. This enables them to gain a stronger position within the organization and have a say in more important decisions. These skills make sycophants more effective in social environments. They not only protect their own interests, but also strengthen their position in the environment. Although this behavior can bring individual success, it may lead to a decrease in sincerity and trust in long-term relationships. The conclusion is that sycophancy is psychologically rooted in various factors: the need for social acceptance, fear, the desire to manipulate, and a lack of self-confidence. Understanding the motivations behind sycophancy helps to properly assess this behavior and form healthier approaches in social relationships. Normal, principled, and transparent people prefer sincere communication and fair treatment in the work environment. They try to express their opinions openly, honestly, and objectively. However, this sincerity can sometimes create difficulties in communication with the leader. When normal people provide objective feedback on an issue, the leader may sometimes perceive it as criticism. For example, openly discussing the risks and problems of a project may be viewed by the leader as negativity or dissatisfaction. However, this is a sincere warning aimed at ensuring the proper execution of the work. Although normal people try to establish sincere relationships with the leader, this can sometimes be misunderstood by leaders who prefer cold or formal communication. Sincere expressions and informal behavior may appear unprofessional in the leader's eyes. Normal people try to acknowledge everyone's contributions and maintain collegial relationships. However, this approach may not be enough to gain the leader's attention, as leaders sometimes show more affinity for those who frequently express gratitude, constantly affirm the leader's opinions, and idealize them. Normal people avoid sycophancy and try to be natural in their behavior. They show the leader only a professional and sincere attitude. However, this approach may, in some cases, result in being overlooked by the leader. The advantage of sycophants in their relationships with leaders is often related to their manipulation skills. A sycophantic person can align their behavior with the thoughts and emotions of the leader, guiding the leader's decisions in their favor. These individuals use various means to achieve their goals, such as showing respect for the leader's opinions, creating a positive atmosphere around them, or praising their decisions. Additionally, the flexible and adaptive behavior of sycophants helps them build closer relationships with leaders. They constantly analyze the situation, respond to the leader's needs, and act in accordance with their expectations. As a result, the leader trusts them more and is more likely to assign them higher positions. In most cases, leaders see such individuals as team players and offer them more opportunities. One of the biggest advantages of sycophants lies in their ability to read social situations and the psychological state of the leader. By understanding the leader's weaknesses, motivational characteristics, and desires, they use this information to serve their own goals. For example, a sycophant knows how to approach the leader and direct their decisions by targeting the leader's strengths or weaknesses. However, those who use sycophancy often build important relationships and achieve high positions within the system because their relationship with the leader continuously develops and becomes stronger. However, this method does not ensure long-term success because leaders often sense sycophancy, which can lead to a loss of trust. For this reason, leaders should value not only sycophants but also honest, reliable, and competent individuals. The issue of sycophancy is a highly controversial topic, as its nature and effects can be interpreted in various ways. On one hand, some view sycophancy simply as a strategic behavior and social skill. According to this approach, sycophancy can be seen as a tactic used by a person to strengthen their position in a social environment, build relationships, or gain higher status. These individuals consider sycophancy as a skill needed to achieve a specific goal. For example, in the workplace, sycophancy could be a means to advance personal objectives and establish strong relationships with leaders. In this regard, sycophancy is considered a form of adaptive social behavior because mutual understanding and solidarity are essential when people build relationships with each other. Establishing a positive relationship with the leader and acting accordingly can be seen as an effective social skill in this context. In fact, there are different behavioral styles in social environments, and some people adapt to the needs of their leaders in order to better understand them and their team members. Sycophancy can be a tool for such adaptation and can help achieve a specific goal. On the other hand, the positive perception of sycophancy can be negatively perceived in the long run in the work environment. People, especially when exposed to such behavior for an extended period, may sense that sycophancy is linked to hidden agendas and manipulation. Although a sycophant's behavior may attempt to appear natural and honest, such actions can eventually create distrust. Therefore, while sycophancy may be seen as a social skill, this tactic can wear people out over time and lead to dangerous consequences in the work environment. Sycophantic behavior is often thought to be associated with insincere motivations over time. For example, a leader might trust an employee who always conforms to their behavior and shows positivity, but this trust might lead to questioning whether the employee is truly honest or actually valuable to the job. As a result, the purpose and sincerity of such behavior come into question. From all of this, we can conclude that while sycophants may sometimes appear skillful, these skills stem from manipulation and psychological games. Everyone should stay true to their principles and avoid actions that contradict their values. Because after a while, the difference between genuine skill and manipulative skill becomes clear. It is interesting to consider, how would Stoics advise dealing with sycophantic individuals? After all, sycophants have existed throughout history. Stoic philosophers approached the issue of sycophancy carefully, as they placed great importance on honesty, self-control and inner sincerity. In the Stoic worldview, the main goal was to maintain internal stability and live a good life, independent of external influences. Therefore, Stoics viewed sycophancy as a behavior that was harmful both to oneself and to others. Stoic philosophers naturally regarded sycophants as engaging in behavior that contradicted a person's values and inner principles. Sycophants tried to achieve their own interests and goals at the expense of others, thus straying from honesty and ethical principles. Stoics argued that such behavior weakens the spirit and degrades the person. Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, for example, emphasized that sycophancy was a departure from both internal and external values. In his writings, Marcus Aurelius highlights the importance of following one's inner principles to be free from external influences. According to him, sycophancy means losing one's inner sincerity by acting in accordance with others' expectations. Stoics believed that this disrupted the internal order of a person and ultimately led to the loss of both one's character and the purpose of life. When it comes to how Stoic philosophers suggested dealing with sycophants, they recommended approaching such individuals with empathy and understanding. This did not mean trying to change them or judge them, but simply behaving in a calm and objective manner. Stoics did not advise reacting with anger or resentment toward others' mistakes. Instead, it was important to try to understand them while maintaining one's own internal stability and principles. Seneca, in many of his works, writes that a person must remain true to their values and should not sell their principles for temporary success in the external world. Expressing his naturally negative attitude towards sycophancy, he emphasized that such people live their lives merely for temporary pleasures and external influences. Stoics knew that external influences could disturb a person's internal stability, and therefore, they viewed sycophancy as a natural threat to protect oneself from such influences. Finally, Stoic philosophers emphasized that the main goal of their behavior toward sycophants was not only to change the other person, but also to maintain their own internal order. They recommended preserving one's internal stability, regardless of external influences, and always staying on the right path. This also helped to understand that sycophancy is a behavior that harms a person's inner strength. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share your thoughts in the comments. See you again soon.